Hello there everyone and welcome to SFR Season 4, Round 15. We have Round 15 in Jeddah this evening, and then next weekend we have Abu Dhabi. So finishing in the two Middle Eastern tracks, just how the real F1 calendar is finishing in the Middle East. So brand new track of Jeddah, hasn't been raced on in real life yet, and SFR are racing there this evening. First league race I have watched or been part of in Jeddah. I've done some time trials, and let's just say it is fast, it is tight, it is twisty. This is going to be an interesting race, and we're going to see how everybody does. Let's just say that. Obviously I've got no idea on strategy. I've just done some practice laps, and the soft tyres didn't last that long, so I'm not expecting the soft tyres to go that long into the race. The hard tyres might do something, but yeah, the softs don't appear to last that long, but they are quick. Expecting probably a low 1 minute 28, or a mid to low 1 minute 28 for pole position, but again, that could all be blown out of the water. I'm not quite sure what the pace is of everybody, and don't forget track limits are a huge thing at this track. That's going to play a big part in all of the laps we're going to be seeing in qualifying very shortly. It's very, very, very easy to touch a curb too much and get given an invalidated lap, so we'll keep an eye on that. And we'll see the session starting now, so we're going to have drivers coming out of the garages very shortly. Here we go, we're going to be 18 this evening. Toss the Caber is joining very shortly. Let's get all of my telemetry up. Everyone at the minute appears to be going onto the softs, no one's changed onto the mediums, but I am expecting a few medium runners just to get a banker lap in, get a taste of the track, and we're going to see how. There we go, Henry is straight on to the mediums, the first driver. So we'll see who else puts them on. I'm expecting Henry to go out pretty sharpish. Looks to be a Williams of Jeddah who could be going out first. A bit of movement in the garage. And the Alfa Romeo. Here's the Alfa Romeo. Who is this? So, B. Kachow, first driver out on track. So quite a sharp turn out of the pit lane to get onto the track. You miss out turns 1 and come out on the exit of turn 2. So Kachow is the first driver round. There's a few cars coming up behind him as well. There's a train of 5 or 6, both Red Bulls, a Mercedes, a Tauri, a Williams, and then we have Kachow as well. Then both McLarens come out the pits at the same time in a sandwich of an Aston Martin, I believe that is, and then the other Williams of Cornet at the back. So we already have crowned our champion, that is Honesy. He is not racing this evening. Impossible Bacon has put on the medium tyres as well. The Constructors is pretty much done and dusted as well. But both Alpha Tauris are not racing this evening, and the closest we have, I think it is done and dusted actually. I think Alpha Tauri have won the Constructors Championship. Looks like they have actually, so I will get confirmation on that. I should have looked up that before I started the stream this evening. But both Alpha Tauris are not racing this evening. Both reserves are Stein and Indian Jesus, so they will not be scoring points for Alpha Tauri. Mercedes have both their full-time drivers in Viet and Dace. Dace won, fresh off winning Brazil in NRL last night, is going to be looking to add another win to the weekend. Let's get on board with Kachow as he crosses the start-finish line. He's just started his lap. Let's do our ride on board with him for the first. He's going to put the first time in if he can keep his lap valid for SFR in Jeddah. He's going to come up to this very tight and twisty part of the track, and looks like he has already invalidated. And there we go. So let's now jump on board with the next driver, and that be Jeddah, who was also invalidated. Alpha Tauri of, not Stein, but the Alpha Tauri of Indian Jesus is the next one who's invalidated. Red Bull, we're going to find someone shortly. Red Bull, there is Henry. So Henry's going to be the first driver. 1 out of 4 ain't bad, eh, so far to get through the S's. So Henry's going to be the first driver to put a timed lap in if he can keep his lap valid, and Lasso will be just behind him. So that slingshot corner really sets you up for this part of the track where you're going to have blind right-hander into the left-hander, and he has now invalidated, so let's jump on board with Lasser. So Lasser comes around here, he's still valid, which is good for him, and now he's going to be flooring it down this this twisty part down to a left-hander and a shortly followed by a right. You want to stay close to this right-hand side in here, and there goes, he's still valid, amazingly. Still valid through there. So Lasser is pounding down towards the final corner now, another horseshoe type. I wouldn't necessarily call it a hairpin, it's not as tight as a hairpin, there's still a bit of a flow to it, you can still get a pretty good exit. You only drop down to third gear, and he powers down towards the end of the line, and he is going to set the first time. Lasser is a 1:27.8, so I was quite far off, to be fair. And oh, who was that in the wall? Kachow! Kachow's in the wall. Kachow is out, and the first driver, he was the first driver out of the pit lane, and the first driver to come out of qualifying. There we go. There we go. Yeah, unfortunate for Kachow, he is out of qualifying. Let's got a comment on the YouTubes. Let's have a look. Yellow flag in sector 1, and let's jump aboard with both McLarens. They are both set times. Stein is invalid. Jeddah is invalid. Medwards is still valid. So let's jump on board with Medwards. See what he's on the medium tyre. Let's see if he can set a decent time. So he comes through those tight, twisty corners. You can get a really, really, really good launch out of there. And he's going to hit the final corner, not literally hit, hopefully, but he will come round there. A bit wide on the apex, but gets a good exit. Uses all of the track onto the curb, and he's going to come under the bridge and across the start-finish line and go with a 1:36.01. There's a Red Bull coming up the line, and I believe that to be the Red Bull of Lassie, who's coming into the pits. Struggling to see who's on timed laps right now. Mark of Kenya. Stuart Little is just about to start his lap. Just right on board with Stuart through here. He's got some traffic ahead of him. That's Henry, who's just come out of the pit lane. We'll keep an eye on Henry's lap. He stays well out of the way. Haven't seen too many incidents of drivers blocking at the minute, which is good, but I'm sure things will come up. Just about manages to keep in track limits here. Now, this track limits at this part are broken. If you take... Oh, and there's Medwards. Medwards is in the wall. Looks like he's lost some front wing, but he is still able to drive around the track, so he should be okay. Comes around the slingshot. I like this corner. It's like a slingshot. You get a good exit here, and it sets you up for the rest of the lap. And Cornet sets provisional pole with a 1:27.592. So the lap times are coming down ever so slightly, 3/10 between, and Stein goes a 28.4. So Stuart is coming in between these types. I'm not even going to try and do the corner numbers. Brushes the wall there. Lucky not to pick any damage up. I'm expecting quite a few front wings this evening. And yes, Michael Kenya, we aren't going to be having fun this evening, but you know, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Got to have these. Got to have the horrible tracks to get the good tracks out of the way. Comes around the final corner, gets the power down, and he's pounding towards the line. DRS is open, and he puts a time in of a 1:28.512. So Yodi appears to be putting some practice laps in on his soft tyres. He's done 3 laps so far, 3 flying laps that is. So he'll be looking to change those tyres at some point. Dace, as I said, fresh off his NRL win in Brazil last night, and coming very close last week in SFR to a Brazil win until a late incident. Is valid right now. He's got some yellow flags, but I assume that is just cars getting out of the way of faster moving cars. And yes, that's the Williams there of Yerdy, I believe. And Dace is... oh, it's going to probably be invalid. Gets a bit of a wiggle on there, and that's that. So let's jump on board with Henry. Henry is invalid as well. Mr. Woot is on an outlap. Indian Jesus is invalid. Cali Rob in the Alpine is... hasn't had a time yet, and he's going to try and stick a time in now. He is still valid, which is good, and he's only got a third of the lap to go. As he ride on board with him there, he's still valid through that corner. As you can see from the broadcast and the onboards, the track is going to be very unforgiving. Any little mistake today is going to cost you, and it's going to cost you big, as Kachow has already found that out this evening. So he's going to try and pick up a bit of a slipstream from that. Williams gets a little bit, and we now have our 18th driver in Tosta Caber, who has joined, and Cali Rob goes P5 with a 1:28.529. So Cornet has quite a nice gap. Cornet and Lasser, 3 tenths between each other, and then it's another 6 tenths further back to Stein, 7 to Stewart. Let's get the gaps to the leader here. Yeah, so Stein is 8 tenths off the pace, Stewart's 9, Cali Rob's 9, Viet's 9, and then the next closest is B16 with a 1.5 seconds behind. And then we still have Mark of Kenya yet to set a time on an outlap. Dace is yet to set a time. Henry is back in the pits, struggling with the track limit so far. Mr. Woot is going to try and set a time. He's coming up to the final corner, so it looks like he will be able to set one here in the Alfa Romeo of Exotic Seat this evening. Couldn't make it back in time from whatever he was doing today. Along with Delta. Delta is missing as well. And there goes the Alfa Romeo of Mr. Woot, and he goes 1.2 seconds slower than what Cornet could manage with a 1:28.796. So Dace is valid still. He's got his teammate Viet just behind him, and Viet is also on a flying lap, so I'm assuming they are pulling each other along nicely. And Dace gets out of the way of Viet. So Viet is the driver taking that. He got a bit of a slipstream there. The Alpine gets out of the way of Cali Rob, and Viet comes down to the start finish line, and he goes third fastest with a 1:28.367. Dace comes into the pit lane. Mark of Kenya is on an outlap, and he's invalidated that. Tosta Caber hasn't managed to come out of the pits just yet. And we have Lasser, who's gone fastest. Lasser's put a faster time in. He's done 1:27.463, so he's now got provisional pole with 7.5 minutes remaining of the session. So props to Lasser there, going faster. Still yet to win a race is Lasser in SFR. He obviously won massive amounts of races when we were in JFR. But I might be wrong. Yes, Lasser still is yet to win a race. He's got 4 second positions and 4 third positions. P16 is firing up to get another lap in, and he's done half a second faster in the first sector. So he's on to improve his time and get into the 1:28. He's currently 1.5 seconds off the pace of pole position. But we'll see what he can fire in. As he powers down, he's still valid. One of the drivers who doesn't pick up too many time penalties, along with his teammate in Red Dog. Red Dog, the only driver in Mexico a couple of weeks ago not to get any sort of time penalty. So B16 still valid through that part of the track. Didn't see what his second sector time was. I'm not sure if he is still up, but he should be. He's going to get a nice tow out of the final corner from the cars up ahead of him, which will be good to get just a little bit more of extra power. The Red Bull is going fast. There's a slow moving Haas, and B16 is going down towards the line. It's going to be an improvement, and it's a big improvement of 6 tenths. So he moves to within half a tenth of Cali Rob in P6. Who else is on laps? Cornet is on a flying lap, I believe. Where is he? He goes he's just under 2 tenths faster than his best time. So at the minute, this if he carries on in this form, he will be getting provisional pole position. So we'll follow him through there. Stein's gone faster, half a second faster, so he's into the 1:27s as well. And Cornet is now invalid, unfortunately. Who else is on laps? Red Dog goes 7 tenths faster and moves himself up into P10, 1:29.221. Spoke to him this afternoon, and he hasn't done, up until today, he hadn't done any kind of lap round here, so that's pretty good pace from himself. Marco Kenya finally puts a lap in of a 1:29.228, and we're still waiting on Toss, on Dace, Dace is just starting his flyer, so let's ride on board with him. Henry hasn't set a time yet. Indian Jesus is invalid. So Dace is getting to the point now where he really has to put a time in very soon, or else he is going to be starting towards the back of the grid, which is not where he would like to be. So Viet moves out of the way for Dace as Dace comes through this horseshoe section, the slingshot, and he lines himself up to go back on himself towards the end of the lap. Right on board with him through here. If you take too much of that inside curb there, it will spin you out. He does touch the wall a little bit. We're going to follow him through the tight and twisty. Let's say tight. Everything's tight and twisty here. If I say tight and twisty, you don't know what I'm talking about, really, do you? But again, if you take too much of that curb in the inside, just not that one there, but the one just before, that will throw you out and spit you into the wall as well. So he comes up towards the final corner. He's going to power back down towards the start-finish straight. It is going to be a valid lap, which is good for him. And let's see what he's got in his pocket. How far up the grid is this going to push him? It pushes him up to P3, just ahead of Stein with a 1:27.9. Cornet is invalid and slightly down on his best lap time. Henry is still in the pits. Yeti is invalid, unfortunately. Red Dog comes into the pit lane. And Indian Jesus still hasn't managed to set a time yet, but he is still valid on this lap, on this attempt. So hopefully this will be the attempt that he does manage to get a time in. Look out for Viet as well, because Viet is on a flying lap. There we go. There's not many chances you can now invalidate your lap, so Indian Jesus is looking to put a lap on the board. So it comes round the final corner. 2.5 minutes left. 2 minutes 45 seconds left. So there's going to be time for drivers to put another run together. And Indian Jesus goes into P5 with a 1:28.192. At this point, if you haven't managed to put a time on the board, you are looking to literally just get a time on the board, not push too hard, because you want to be pushed up as much as you possibly can up the grid. So Lasser is on an out lap, and he's going to be starting his final flying lap very shortly in the Red Bull. He's had many teammates as Lasser. Unfortunately, the second Red Bull seat is cursed in SFR as it is in real life, and we can never seem to get a consistent driver in the second Red Bull seat. But Lasser turns up every week, puts all his passion into his driving on a Sunday evening, and let's see what he can do. But currently he is on pole this evening. Twitchy on the exit of that corner, but he is still valid, which is good for him, and his first sector time is just slightly down. He's slightly down on his fastest time. We have lost B60. I'm not sure if that is through a retirement. I can only see one McLaren in the garage. Red Dog has retired as well, so both McLarens are retiring from the session. So Lasser comes through here. We're going to see what his middle sector time, his second sector time is very shortly. He's just coming up to the line now. He's up on his best time. He's up on his best time. This is going to push him into the 27.3s right now if he can keep. That's a good corner there, it looked to be. So Lasser is coming down now towards the final corner. I think Lasser's put in plenty of time, patience and practice into the run up to this race, as at the minute he is the fastest driver out there. And we're going to see, he's always been very good at street tracks. He's got very good consistency. And he comes up to the line and he does go faster. He goes just under a tenth faster and puts him into the 1:27s 3.86s. So it's now all down to Cornet. It's all down to Stein. Stein though is invalid, and he's not going to get a chance to go back round and set another time. So it is all down to Cornet. Dace doesn't appear to be coming back out of the pit lane. Who else is coming up to the line now? Mark of Kenya goes into P5 with a 1:28.175. There is an Alfa Romeo And that Alfa Romeo is Mr. Woot, who's just about to come towards the line. Is this, how far is this going to jump him up to? Jumps up to P5, knocks Mark of Kenya down to P6. There's an Aston Martin of Impossible who comes into the pit lane. So let's go back to Cornet. Cornet is ever so slightly up on his first sector, and we're going to see what his second sector is just now. He's down. Cornet is he's backed out of his lap. Stein is invalid. Stewart is still valid. So let's see what his lap time will be. Cali Robb is slightly up on his best time, but it's not going to see him. Might see him jump up one position, maybe two. Henry is retired. He's crashed out in the middle sector. So Stewart is going to be, he's behind Cali Robb. There's a Red Bull or a Williams that looks to be coming. That's probably going to be Cornet finishing his outlap. And Cali jumps up ever so slightly, goes half a tenth faster and jumps ahead of Stuart Little. Stuart into P10. And who was the last driver coming along? Medwards is going to hit the line, and he goes 1.5 seconds faster, jumps him up to P13. So he's just behind Yerdy and just ahead of Red Dog in the McLaren. And that is the end of qualifying. Well done to Lasser, who has got pole position by nearly over 2/10. So Lasser in pole with Cornet in P2, and Dace manages to get into P3 with a very clean 127.900. Stein in P4, and Mr. Woot. A bit worried for Mr. Woot. Whenever he qualifies high up, he ends up having a horrible race. Whenever he qualifies low down, he has an amazing race. So we'll see what happens. What's this? I think there was a rumour that the lobby was glitched, but it's not, which is good. I don't really want another glitched lobby this evening. Toss is having a few issues getting in, so we'll see if he manages to get in at some point before the race. His car is prepped, but his internet isn't, or the lobby isn't. I'm not really sure what's going on here. And Kachau, obviously the first driver to retire at Jeddah, and Henry was the second. Tossakaber never managed to put a time in, and Impossible was just doing banker laps with his medium tyres, which is fair enough. You want to start towards the back of the grid, because I'm predicting, whenever we do this, we predict carnage. It never seems to happen, but I am expecting some carnage this evening. Turn 1 is a bit of a not massive run down to turn 1, but you do have the left-hander. And into a right-hander, which is pretty twitchy on the exit of that, especially over the curves on the left-hand side. There's going to be a lot of drivers fighting over the same bit of tarmac. And it appears we have our first lobby glitch, as we are not moving on from the screen. So I'm going to have to right, so we will get a picture taken, and we will be joining you very shortly for the second part of qualifying. Sorry, second part of qualifying for the actual race. We seem to be doing this quite a lot at the minute, so bear with me, and